By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to use cross multiplying to solve proportions. So this lesson is getting us ready to solve problems when two figures are similar or proportional, meaning the same thing, similar and proportional. So so you can remember, a proportion is an equation that's stating two ratios or rates are equal or fractions. So they're saying two fractions are equal. An important property of proportions is that their cross products are equal, and we can use this when solving problems that involve proportions. So, for example number 1, I'm going to do 2 times 28 and then 1 times x. So 1x equals 2 times 28. All right, so I get x equals 2 times 28 is 56. All right, and this equation is done. So lots of times we're going to have to multiply it and then divide, but 1x and x are the same thing. So let's look at example number 2. I'm going to do 8 times y equals 3 times 24. 8 times y, so 8y, equals 3 times 24. 3 times 24 is 72. Now to solve this equation, I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides, and I get y is 9. For example 3, now we have, we're going to do x plus 2 times 30 and 10 times x plus 22. When we multiply times, like two terms being added, you need to make sure you multiply times both of them. So you're basically distributing. So here I'm going to do 10 times x is 10x. 10 times 22 is 220. So I did 10 times x and I did 10 times 22. Now I'm going to do 30 times x and then 30 times 2. All right, so you do 30 times x, 30 times 2, which is 60, and then 10 times x and 10 times 22. Now I have an equation with a variable on both sides, so I like to move the variables together. Well, in fact, you need to. So I'm going to take the 30 away and bring it over here. So I get negative 20x. 10 minus 30 is negative 20. Add 220 equals 60. Those canceled. Okay, so I took the 30 away from the right hand side and moved it to the left, and because it was positive I had to subtract. Now I'm going to solve this two-step equation. I'm going to subtract 220 from both sides. And I get negative 20x equals 60 minus 220 is negative 160. And then I divide by negative 20 on both sides. So x equals negative 160 divided by negative 20 is going to be a positive 8. All right, so if you have two terms, you multiply times both of those terms. We're going to get variables on both sides, and then remember you always undo addition, subtraction, and then multiplication and division. Again, we're going to cross multiply to solve. So on example 4, I'm going to do 3 times y, okay, and then I'm going to do 9 times 18.2. 9 times 18.2 is 163.8. So 3 times y, 9 times 18.2. Divide by 3 on both sides, because when I have 3 times y to solve that, I'm going to divide by 3. And I get y equals 54.6. Example 5, I'm going to do 8 times 5, which is 40. And then I'm going to do 4 times 2x plus 3. So I'm going to do 4 times 2x, which is 8x. 4 times 3, which is 12. Notice I like to put my variable on the left-hand side, if at all possible, although it doesn't matter when you go to solve. This is a two-step equation, so I got to get rid of the addition first, and then I'm going to divide by 8. So I'm going to subtract 12. And I get 8x equals 28. Divide by 8. and x equals 3.5. For example 6, I'm going to do 3 times x minus 1 and then 4 times x plus 1. So 4 times x plus 4 times 1, 3 times x minus 3 times 1. Again, I have a variable on both sides, so I'm going to take away the variable there, and I get x plus 4. 4 minus 3 is 1, so I have 1x. And then these 3 cancel, and I get minus 3. Subtract 4 from both sides, and I get x equals negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. And since there's not a number next to the x, this problem is complete. Make sure if you have a negative x, so positive x, done. Negative x, I would have had to divide by negative 1 on both sides. All right, so 3 times both of those terms, 4 times both of those terms, variables on the same side, and then I solve the equation. And I wanted to do one more example. I want to do the example, it's number 6 down the worksheet, because it looks a little bit different than the others. When you don't have a fraction on one of the sides, you can make it into a fraction by putting it over 1. So when I go to solve this, I'm going to do 6x times 1, which is 6x. And then I'm going to do 43 times 27, which I got, hold on, what did I get for that? 1,161. Right? And then I just need to divide by 6. And I get x equals 193.5. So now what you're going to do is you're going to finish this worksheet. You're going to do 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, and then 6 through 11. That's underneath that. There's a lot of decimals answers in this, so don't freak out if you get a lot of decimals. So again, to solve a proportion, cross multiply, and then solve your resulting equation.